All right, let's talk about the numbers behind the needle. It's called cost theory. And honestly, it's the stuff that really decides whether a fashion brand makes it or breaks it. Whether you're a high-end designer in Mumbai or running a craft startup in Bihar, mastering this is what separates a one-season wonder from a real success story.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to cover why any of this actually matters. Then, we'll dive into the one core formula you absolutely have to know. We'll even see how it works in a real factory, add a few pro tools to your skill set, and then wrap it all up by looking at how you plan for today versus tomorrow.
Okay, so let's jump right in with the big question. Why is cost analysis really the backbone of a brand? What's the big deal?
You know, in a world filled with stunning designs and glamorous photo shoots, it's so easy to forget what's going on behind the scenes. We all see the beautiful final product, but we don't see the spreadsheets. And that's the real secret, isn't it? Profitability isn't some kind of magic. It's just math. Look, getting a handle on your costs isn't just about saving a few rupees here and there. It's about giving yourself the power to make way smarter decisions everywhere. It means you can put your resources where they count, pick the best way to produce your clothes, and, this is the big one, set prices that actually make you money.
Just imagine this for a second. A designer in Patna is about to launch a gorgeous new collection of hand-loom jackets. Before they even think about booking a photographer or coming up with a marketing slogan, their very first, most critical move is to calculate the cost. That one calculation is what turns a cool idea into a real business.
So, how do you actually do it? How do you calculate these costs? Well, lucky for us, there's one core formula that's basically the mathematical blueprint for your entire business. Let's break it down.
Okay, first up, total fixed costs, or TFC. Think of these as your non-negotiables. They're the bills that show up every single month like clockwork, no matter what. It doesn't matter if you sell one jacket or 1,000 of them, your workshop rent, your staff's salaries, even the value your machines lose over time. Those costs are locked in. They're your financial foundation. Next, you've got your total variable costs, or TVC. Now, these costs move with you. The more you produce, the higher they go. It just makes sense, right? Every single jacket you make needs its own fabric, its own buttons and thread, and the time it takes for someone to stitch it all together. And when you put those two together, boom, you get the whole picture. Your total cost. It's just your fixed costs plus your variable costs. TC equals TFC plus TVC. It's a super simple formula, but don't let that fool you. This little equation is the absolute key to understanding the financial health of your entire operation.
Theory's great, but let's get our hands dirty. Let's see how this formula actually plays out in the real world, inside a real garment factory. So we're going to take a little trip to a garment unit in Muzaffarpur, Bihar. They make school uniforms, which is a perfect example, because in that kind of business, managing your costs precisely is everything if you want to stay competitive. All right, let's break down their numbers. Their total fixed costs, so things like rent and machinery, are a flat 40,000 rupees a month. And the variable cost for every single shirt they make, that's fabric, trim, labor, comes out to 120 rupees.
Okay, now for the fun part. Imagine they land a big order to produce 500 school shirts. Using that formula we just talked about, what do you think their total cost is going to be to get this order out the door?
The answer is 1 lakh rupees. So how do we get there? It's pretty simple, actually. First, you take those 500 shirts and multiply them by the variable cost of 120 rupees each. That gets you 60,000 rupees in variable costs. Then, you just add the 40,000 rupees in fixed costs that they have to pay anyway. That brings the total cost for this specific order to exactly 1 lakh. And with that single number, the factory can confidently set a price and plan their budget.
Okay, so you've got the basic formula down. But to really manage a business like a pro, especially as it starts to grow, we need to add a few more tools to the toolkit. So you know your total cost. Is that the end of the story? Not even close. Not if you want to make truly smart business decisions. To be a great manager, you've got to dig a level deeper.
And that means looking at 2 more key numbers. First, you've got average cost. That's just your total cost divided by how many items you made. It gives you your cost per item. But here's the one that's a real game changer. Marginal cost. This tells you the exact cost of producing just one more unit. And trust me, knowing that number is the secret weapon for deciding if it's profitable to take on a bigger order.
Now this next part is hugely important.
the difference between explicit and implicit costs. Explicit costs are the easy ones. They're the direct payments you make, the money that leaves your bank account, like a tailor's salary. But implicit costs, these are the hidden what-if costs. They're opportunity costs. So for example, if a boutique owner in Patna uses her own building for the shop, the implicit cost is the 30,000 rupees a month she's giving up by not renting it out. That's a real cost, and a smart manager always accounts for both.
And this all leads to the single most important insight for any manager. Listen, of course your total costs are going to rise as you produce more. That's a given. The real question you need to be asking is what's happening to my costs per piece? Are you getting more efficient as you scale, causing your average and marginal cost to go down? Or are they starting to creep up? That trend right there, that's what determines your long-term profitability.
And finally, let's talk about time, because the way you think about your costs has to change completely depending on whether you're planning for next week or for the next 5 years.
In the short run, you're kind of locked in. You're stuck with your current factory and your current machines. The only real way to scale up is by changing variable stuff, like hiring more workers. But in the long run, the whole game changes. Everything becomes variable. You can build a bigger factory, buy that brand new technology. You can completely transform how you do things.
So let's bring this all together. Your key takeaways? That simple cost function TC equals TFC plus TVC, that is your guide, your North Star. And understanding all the different types of costs, fixed, variable, explicit, and especially those hidden implicit ones, is what gives you true financial control. And please remember, this isn't just theory for huge corporations. These are the exact tools that local businesses from Patna to Gaya can use to grow in a smart, sustainable way.
And I'll leave you with a question to chew on. As you plan to scale your brand from, say, 1,000 pieces to 10,000, what's that one hidden, implicit cost that could be your biggest blind spot? Is it the value of your own time? An opportunity you're missing? Identifying that blind spot right now is the very first step toward building a truly resilient brand.